Hey guys, I'm already seeing some folks join us for today, which is always exciting. We're gonna give people a few minutes. It's 11:56 here on the East Coast. We're set to kick off at about 12 p.m. So again, let's give people a few minutes to join us. Let me make sure I have all of my notifications off as well. Okay, cool. So if you're already here, hello. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, awesome. So if you are here for our first webinar of the year, which is why your offer feels off and what you need to do about it. I'm going to be your host for today. My name is Monique Liu. I'm a creator program specialist here at Teachable. I will get deeper into who I am, but first, I want to hear from you all while we're waiting for more people to join. You should have access to a webinar chat in I think kind of like the middle of the Zoom window. Go ahead and let me know where you're coming from, who you are. Have you been launched a product on Teachable? Has it gone the way that you wanted it to? Or are you kind of like stuck in low conversion? What's the deal with your product? I want to hear if you are maybe thinking about launching for the first time. You're stuck in that kind of like ideation phase. And I want to know where you are in the world. I think that's one of the funnest parts of doing webinars and workshops like this. You get to see people from all around the world. So again, pop into the chat, let me know who you are, where you're from, and where you are in your teachable journey. And a quick note, in the chat, you'll see the to field is probably set to just hosts and panelists. If you'd like to engage with your fellow participants, go ahead and switch that to field to say everyone so that everybody can see your comment. You can chat back and forth with each other. But yeah, let me know who you are, where you are, and what you're building on Teachable. I'd love to hear it. I'm going to say hi to a couple people that I see coming on in. Seeing Alvin, Darja, Elamore, Katharina, Corin, Larry, MJ, um, Rael. I hope I didn't mispronounce your name. Thomas, hello. Suyong. Suyong? I don't want to mispronounce your name. I'm so sorry if I am. Hello from Indiana. Hi. I myself am in New Jersey. Midwest must be absolutely freezing because it is definitely freezing over here. So heart goes out to you in the Midwest. We have Mojka. Again, I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing. Hello from Sylvania. Ooh, cool. I'm a virtual assistant and my customer launched a product. Oh, sick. So we're trying to increase her conversions. Cheers to everyone. Awesome. You are in the right place. We have about a minute to go before the top of the hour. It'll be 12 p.m. here on the East Coast. We're going to start our session in just a few moments. Again, continue to let me know who you are, and where you are in your teachable journey. Are you just now launching a product? Have you launched a product before and it's just not performing the way you want to? I am so curious to hear. So let me know in the chat. Come on, guys. Go ahead and engage. Say hello. This is going to be a little bit of an interactive session. So I'm not going to say if I need to call on you, I will, but feel free to dive on in. And with that, I think we're going to get started. So again, this is going to be somewhat of an interactive session. It is a workshop. Before this session, we ask that you submit your product ideas. A lot of you did, which I am incredibly grateful for. I was able to pick out a couple of those ideas. I'm trying to build in time for us to go through them live, and I'm also trying to build in time for us to walk through any questions that you might have if you want to talk about your product idea live with me today. We're going to leave some time for that, but because it is a jam-packed session, we're going to go ahead and get started. Oh, cool. And I'm seeing some people in the chat. MJ, we have launched 24 products and they're not converting as our research, sorry, suggests that they should. Interesting. Rigel, hi from Florida. We've launched some courses, but would appreciate inputs for better conversions. Great. Corin from Florida, just starting and figuring it out. Yoga and movement courses. And Sarah from Norfolk, England. I'm a doll maker. Ooh, interesting. New to online teaching. Okay, awesome. So you are all in the right place. Let's go ahead and get started with why your offer feels off and what you need to do about it. So, if your offer has ever felt off, it might mean that it's hard to talk about. A lot of people cite that they have like some kind of sales ickiness with their offers. Something just feels weird about, getting into the selling of it all. It might be hard to price, and it might be harder to sell than it should be. If those are something that resonates with you, if you've ever felt that way about an offer, you are definitely not alone. With Teachable, I've seen creators of all shapes and sizes as far as their audiences go, and everyone at some point runs into this feeling. So you're in good company. Don't feel like you're the elephant in the room. One thing I really, really need to stress that you remember, off is feedback. It is not failure. When an offer is off, most people tend to think, oh, well, I'm just going to go ahead and throw that idea away. Please do not do that. Take that as an opportunity to learn from what isn't working with that offer. Maybe it's a pricing tweak, maybe it's a language tweak. There's so much feedback that can come from when an offer isn't working the way that you think it should, that it would just be awful for you to just completely throw it away. So, in the spirit of that, we are going to be diagnosing. We are not going to be ditching our offers. We're not going to be tearing anything down. So, your idea is not bad. Your expertise is not the issue. It's usually a sign that something is simply misaligned. This session is going to be for you if you already have an offer that isn't converting, if you are about to launch and you just simply want a sanity check, if you're tired of guessing what it is that you need to fix. Oop, went too far. And if you simply want clarity without, again, needing to start completely over. Hi, I'm Monique Liu. For those of you who might just be joining, I'm a creator program specialist here at Teachable, which is just a fun way of saying that I get the privilege of working with creators like you. Over the last 5 years, I've spent pretty much that entire time helping people to ideate on their ideas, think through their launch strategy, help them create their content, their curriculum, the whole nine. So I've heard all of the questions. Nothing is silly, nothing is stupid. You have a Q&A section in sort of like the middle to right-hand side of your Zoom window. Go ahead and open that up. As you have questions, please feel free to let me know. Again, I'm going to try to leave some time, about 15 minutes or so, for us to get into your questions live. So don't be shy, drop them into that Q&A. I'm going to get to them. Again, this session is being recorded. You will have access to this recording as well. So in the spirit of that, please refrain from adding any kind of deeply personal information into the Q&A or the chat. We don't want that floating around out there on the internet. Keep it to general questions, please. And with that, let's talk about our agenda for today. So we're going to talk about why offers feel off. We're going to learn the most common misalignments. We're going to see how to fix them or if we can prevent them outright. And then we're going to apply it to real offers. So that would be the product submissions that you all submitted, which were lovely and wonderful. I was able to pick out a couple of them and work through what I think the misalignment is. So we're going to get to that. And then again, we're going to get to all of your questions as well. So let's get into it. So what does an offer actually look like? It looks like you avoiding talking about it altogether. It also looks like you going back to your sales page and rewriting. I've seen so many people think, conversion is so low. Maybe if I go back to my page and just add a video here, add a line here, add this, add that. And then all of a sudden their sales page goes from being like pretty small and straight to the point down this giant long thing where they just keep going over and over it. We don't want to do that. People might say to you, oh, this is great. I love this idea. And then they don't buy it. That happens all the time. We're going to dig into what might be going on there. Pricing ends up feeling arbitrary. You have spent all of this time building your content, going through the whole thing. Um, you sit there and you're like, oh, okay, I did all of this. I'm going to slap a $500 price point on it because I've spent all this time and effort. That's just you kind of going with your gut. It's not necessarily what your audience is going to jump for. And then you might be, of course, again, proud of that content. But at the end of the day, you've spent all of that time, you kind of look at it, and maybe you've lost track of what the original offer was supposed to be because you've just been stuck in that funnel that entire time. So again, if any of this resonates with you, you might have an offer that is off. And with that, most offers fail quietly as well. There's so much imposter syndrome that goes into creating courses and second guessing and things like that. And it is a very isolating space to be in, right? Like you're maybe in your home office for weeks, if not months, working on a curriculum, filming content, doing the whole nine, and then you press launch and it's crickets. We don't want that, but it is an incredibly isolating feeling. I think people have the fear that, if they talk about it, if they try to sell more, people are going to be like, oh, look at this guy or girl or person um, trying to sell this thing and it's not working clearly. That does not happen. Most offers just kind of fail quietly. There's no like side chat of people kind of poking fun at your offer. It's just something is happening silently and we need to dig into it and fix it. So, it has nothing to do with your lack of effort or your expertise, but it has everything to do with these four things here. So, scope, positioning, timing, and sequence. Having a scope that tries to solve for multiple problems or transformations can easily lead into you trying to target multiple audiences. That in turn means that you're going to be offering your product at the wrong moment in that customer's journey because you've tried to target everybody, or that your product is in the wrong part of your product suite. So if any one of these things is off, the whole thing kind of falls apart. So oftentimes it is not you, it is not your lack of effort, it's just one of these things. And these reasons can be fairly predictable. Today, there are a couple, I think there are about five that I could break it down into, but for the sake of time, we're going to cover the three most common ones that I see all the time here at Teachable, and we're going to talk about what to do about each of them. So the three most common misalignments are outcome, scope, and then the moment. We're going to focus in on number one, which is the outcome. So what does that mean? Often means that your outcome is too abstract. You might be promising something that is not easy to visualize. And that means if it's hard to picture, it is very hard to buy. So, for example, it might be one long course on how to launch a digital product. Um, Great on paper. I think there are a lot of people who might see a course like that, especially in this room, and say, like, oh, that is a good idea. But there's so much that goes into it. Launch what exactly? To what stage? What does success look like? How do I think it through? What's the content? What's the marketing strategy? There's so much that goes into launching a digital product that this course would naturally become way too long, and just my prospective audience wouldn't be able to envision what they would really have at the end of this by just looking at the title alone. So even if that content is solid, that outcome is it's just going to be so muddy. So instead, what we want to do to fix that is we want to tie the outcome to a milestone that someone can just easily point to. They need to say, like, I can read this one sentence. I know exactly what I'm doing in this course. I get it. I'm going to buy it. So we are creating a pathway. We are not creating a maze with one long product. So what does this look like? You might go from something like this, where it's, again, this one long course. And I'm going to kind of read the first line here. So this course includes everything I've learned over 5 years. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of knowledge and expertise to pack into one course. So instead of having this one long course, I want to break it down into those milestones. I might break it down into a step one. Let's think it through. We're going to ideate before you build. I might have a step two. Let's actually build it. So now this is all about content. And then I'll move into a step three, which is all about your marketing plan. Now, all of a sudden, I went from having this like big aspirational thing, you're going to launch a digital product, yada, 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 to easy milestones that my customers or my students would be able to look at and say, okay, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to start with step one and I'm going to move through the process. And that brings us to number two, the scope. This is a big one. And this is the one that I see the most often with creators when they have something that might feel a little bit off. So, number two, your scope might be too big for buyer readiness. What does that look like? It might look like you asking for too much commitment way too early. So, you're promising a big transformation, but you don't have the trust of your audience yet. They're not quite in the space, they're not quite ready to jump all in with you and go for that big transformation. So it might look like something like I have this giant master course. It's got everything that I've learned over the past 25 years. If you take this course, you're going to walk away with that knowledge. That's so intimidating for you to put that effort into a course. Taking the 25 years of your knowledge, putting it into one course is an incredible feat. But then to expect your student to then take that course and also walk away with that same knowledge, that's next to impossible. You're just asking way too much from them right off the gate. So, what we need to do is break that content down into just one primary win. So, what does that look like? So, let's go back to my first example, launch a digital product master course. Really quick, in the chat, I did say that this was going to be a little bit interactive. So I'm going to pull up the chat. What do you think is wrong with this course? What do you think could be better? What do you think is really turning away my buyers with this course? Let me know in the chat. I'm going to give y'all a few moments. Again, interactive session. I want to hear from you. Already seeing somebody in, not specific enough of the content. It's a good point. Anybody else? What do you think is wrong with this offer? And I kind of touched on it in the outcome. So you could cheat a little bit and repeat. It doesn't make me feel like a beginner could do it. That's a great point. Debbie says 5 years is too long. Perfect. Anybody else? I would think everything I've learned over 5 years distilled into easy bite-sized chunks. It's a good one. Too much content, it scares me. Deborah, that's a great point. I love that. It would scare me as well. Okay, I think these are all great. And you're right on the money. So start off right off the bat. 5 years is crazy. Again, this kind of ties back to our first one, which was the outcome. 5 years is insane. I'm supposed to learn all of that in just one course? Too much. Giorgio is not addressing any main point exactly. Trying to take my 5 years of knowledge and putting it into one course, it's going to end up being incredibly long. 19 lessons. That is so long. That is a big time commitment. You don't even know me, and I'm simply telling you that I have 5 years of experience. But if you're not familiar with me as an instructor, that means next to nothing. They're just going to immediately see that 19 lessons and be like, wow, this girl's nuts. I'm not going to sit down for 19 lessons. How long does that even take? And then last but not least, something that nobody touched on, which I think is interesting, the price. This is expensive. We live in an expensive world, yes, and like you should have a higher ticket product that you want people to aspire to purchase. But at the end of the day, if you don't know me and there's a lot to learn, and now I'm asking you for almost $500 right off the bat, that's an incredible ask. I'm asking way too much of my prospective customers. It's just too much. So what can we do to fix this? We are going to not throw the concept away, but instead we're going to break what we have down into actionable, smaller steps for our buyers to navigate through. So we're going to create a pathway to our larger transformation instead of just throwing the door wide open and pushing that in. Debbie says divide it into 5 cheaper courses. You're on the money. Okay, so I'm going to break this down into my 3 different products. So these are all going to be milestone based. So step one is going to talk about ideating. We're thinking through our product first. We're not just saying, you're going to go ahead and take this course, and by the end, you're going to launch this product. Instead, we were saying, you're going to take this first step one course, and it's going to give you the idea to create a digital product or what kind of digital product you would have. So now it's tangible. It's something that they could do. It's an action that they could take maybe even in one day, maybe even in just a couple of hours, and they'll be well on the way to their next step, which be building that actual product. So this course would focus all about the basics of planning and executing the content. Again, small, they might get the understanding of like what a curriculum or a good engaging curriculum looks like, tools to use to record, but it is just focusing in on that content and understanding what they need to actually build the idea that they came up with in step one. And that would lead them over to step three, which is probably the most important step here. Let's market. So this would be all about that marketing strategy, the launch strategy, and what to do after. And this would kind of bring them to that natural culmination of what I thought my original course was going to be on how to launch a digital product. Now they have gone through those milestone moments. They're probably much better prepared, and they're probably much more energized and excited to actually follow through with all of these steps than they would be if they had enrolled in just one long course and kind of just did it at their own pace. Okay. So from those, another poll moment for you guys here. How many additional products do you think that I could offer from just these three courses? Let me know. And I'll repeat the question. So how many additional products do you think that I could create from just having these three milestone moment courses? Let me know in the chat. What other products do you think that I could possibly easily add to my product suite to accompany these? Debbie, ooh, you're going hard, Debbie. 10 to 15. That's a lot. I like your comment before. First catch them with a $27 mini course offer. Great idea. 6 to 9. Okay. And what kinds of offers do you think I could build off of this? And you don't need to just focus on the number. What do you think I could offer in addition to these that would be easy for me, low lift, kind of a no-brainer? 2 freebies, one-to-one coaching. Great answer. Anybody else? Digital product templates. Those are great. Cool. You guys are on the money. So off of that, I can build out an entire product suite, an entire pathway to my more premium products. I can start off with a group coaching or a one-to-one session for folks who might want some extra support, as maybe a one-time purchase. Maybe they don't want to, dive into that as something recurring. I could also offer a bundle. So then I could take those 3 milestone products that I've created, marry them all together, and then offer them as one. You might say, is that the same as having one long course? No, because it's still broken down into those 3 actionable milestones. They'll still be taking 3 separate courses, but now they have the opportunity to buy all 3 at once. And you can kind of frame that in your marketing as like, if you buy all 3 at once, I'll give you a $50 discount. So there's a lot you can do with bundles. Debbie, you're right. Offer a membership. That's my next one. You could also offer a membership for people who want more customized packages for where they are in their journey. So this might look like, my first intro access tier is all about thinking your idea through. It's $100 a month, which is cheaper than what the course would be. But with that, you're getting the course, and then you're also getting community access as well as a one-time group coaching session. My next tier might be $149 a month, still relatively cheap. It's about the price of one course, but now you're getting everything plus that community access so you can engage with people who are learning at the same time as you and even engage with me as the instructor. And then I might even have a premium tier in my membership, which includes everything but also a one-to-one session with me and that community access, maybe a VIP forum or channel space in the community as well for just that group to access. So we, just by breaking those milestones down, we were able to pull different products from those milestones, a bunch of different ways to monetize the content that you already had. You just needed to make a small tweak to it. Um, so keep that in mind. We just went from having one wildly long course, intimidating course, to having one entry offer, two next steps in the buyer's journey, two optional add-ons that they can use to enhance their learning experience, and then two additional options to meet them where they are in the bundle in the membership. Cool. So moving on, let's get into number three, the moment. This might be my favorite misalignment that I see. So it's probably one of the easiest ones to fix. So number three, the misalignment of having your offer at the wrong moment in your journey. So what does that look like? You aren't meeting your audience where they are. So even if the offer is amazing, it's the right offer, if you're selling it to them at the wrong moment in their journey, they're going to be intimidated. They're going to pass on it. They're going to have pricing objections. It just surfaces so much. So, for example, you might be thinking, because I've packed all of my expertise into this one course, it's going to be a no-brainer for people. Of course, they're going to want everything I have to offer. But you end up with people saying, oh, this is great on paper, and then they don't actually buy it. We don't want that. So instead, you're going to reposition that offer inside a clearer sequence. We are not going to lower the value. We are going to instead lower the friction. So what does that look like? It is a sequencing problem. It is not a quality problem. So going back to my main original idea, launching a digital product, my entire master course, I would think through, what does someone need before this? And in doing that, I might come up with a freebie. So one small step that is actionable and most importantly, free. I want somebody to think through what they need to get to this point, but I also want it to be so easy for them to say yes to. It's free. It is a digital download. It's a one-off checklist to see if they're actually ready to think about making a product or if making a product is even right for them. So it meets them at that very starting point in their journey. I'm not even asking them for money at this point. I'm just saying, hey, let me help you figure this out as if this is even for you. And then we can talk about what courses I have. And then you want to think about, okay, cool. So I have this freebie. What comes after this? What is the natural next step that I would offer my students after they've taken this first bit? And that leads us over to those three post-freebie customer journeys through course milestones. And that's that step one, step two, and step three courses. And then we also want to offer them the opportunity to expand their learnings beyond those first three courses. That might take the form of a group coaching session or a one-to-one session. So we're kind of breadcrumbing them along in the journey. Again, we are creating a pathway. We are not creating a maze. So in summary, we have three common misalignments. We have the outcome. Can somebody picture it or can somebody picture what they'll win at the end of your course just by eyeballing it? Is this something that is easy to visualize? We have the scope. Does this feel doable for one product? Is my product trying to do too many jobs? Is it trying to solve too many things at once? And last but not least, again, probably my favorite one to rework, the moment. Is this the right step for them right now? If the answer is no to any of these, then this is the sign that you need to stop and rework what you have before another launch or before you even do your first launch. These are the three questions that you really need to ask yourself whenever you are creating a product, again, for the first time, or if you're already launched and you need to rework. Keep these questions in your back pocket. So once you know what it is that you need to look for, these things become so easy to spot. So we're going to take this from theory to application now. So again, before this session, I asked for folks to submit their product ideas, what they're struggling with. I was able to pick a couple of them, but I want to make a few things clear. We are not tearing down these offers. We are not ditching these offers. This is purely meant to be a diagnosing kind of session. I'm going to offer an example of what I would do to fix the misalignment here, but we're going to review it like this. We're going to go through what the offer is. We're going to talk about which misalignment shows up. We're going to talk about why that matters. And we're going to go through what to adjust next. So, again, we are not tearing the people down. We are just going through what they presented to us, and we're going to work through that fix together. Okay, so my first hot seat offer is from Hopific. I think your name was Thomas. Thomas, are you here in the chat? Let me know. Going through. I don't think I see you. Do. Thomas, if you're here, let me know. If not, you'll see this in the recording. I hope it'll be a nice surprise. But for everybody, Thomas presented his product. It is a self-paced online course. The topic is all about Grasshopper, which is a parametric design software. The audience is for architectural designers who are beginners. Beginners, very important. And the promise is that they will get productive fast. And that's word for word from your product submission, Thomas. The status, it is launched and it is selling, but the problem is that there is low conversion and you're getting a lot of pricing objection. Ultimately, you said that you wanted this to be your main offer. So let's get into what I think the misalignment is here. And first, you know what? I'll ask you guys before I spill the beans. Everybody here, take a look at the screen. What do you think is the misalignment here? Is it the outcome? Is it the scope? Or is it the moment? Let me know in the chat. Any guesses? We're looking for outcome, scope, or moment. What do you think is the friction here? Outcome, says Mariah. Debbie says moment. Mochka says scope. Suyeon says scope. Anybody else? These are good ones. Outcome. Mariah says seems confusing, but I'm not the target audience. Going once, going twice. These are good. These are good guesses. So on my end, thinking through, I think that this is misalignment number 3. This is the wrong moment in the journey. So who said moment? Debbie, you win an applause. Thank you, Debbie. You're absolutely right. I think this is the wrong moment in the journey. But what this is not is a quality problem or a pricing problem. So off the bat, Thomas, I don't know again if you're here, but don't get caught up on that. It's not a quality problem. Absolutely not. So let's talk about what actually feels off here before we get into the fix. So let's start off with the hook. So you said, and again, this is word for word, you want people to get productive fast. That is so vague for a beginner. So if I had to put myself in their shoes, I would say, what does productive even mean? Fast, what does that even mean? Those are abstract, they're pretty relative. Um, as a beginner, they don't even know what productive means with this tool. They're completely at ground zero. So saying that doesn't really mean too much to them. So we want to get more concrete with that hook. Then there's a timing. Once you have a beginner plus a main offer, you are naturally going to run into some timing friction. Beginners don't yet trust the tool. They're just learning it. They don't really know what's going on there. They have a probably pretty fairly big learning curve, especially if the software is fairly complex. They don't yet trust themselves. They might not even believe that they can go ahead and finish a course like this, let alone, learn everything in the time that you might set for them. And then they don't trust you yet as the instructor. They don't know you as the instructor. So you're asking quite a lot for them at this beginning stage. And then there's the hesitation. which is why there is low conversion, at least in my opinion. So beginners are being asked to pay for fluency before they've even experienced that beginning snowball momentum feeling. They're not ready to say yes to that main product solution yet. So this is what I pulled. This is what feels off to me. Again, I think that falls into um, the misalignment number three. I think this is the wrong moment primarily. You could make the argument that this could fall into scope, trying to do too much. You could make the argument that it is trying to fall into outcome, but I think ultimately this is just wrong timing, especially since it's being targeted towards beginners and it's a fairly comprehensive product. Cool. So what I do not want you to do, Thomas, I do not want you to lower the price. I don't want you to add more content. I don't want you to rebuild this course from scratch, and I don't want you to chase an entirely new audience. What I do want you to do is reposition this course one step later in the journey. Then I want you to create a clear, concrete entry offer before it. And I have a hunch that you could use the content that you already have within this course to do that. So I took a quick deep dive into your sales page, and you are already talking about what most of these beginners are struggling with, which is gold because that actually points to your first concrete milestone that I think you could run with. But just to go through things quickly, and these are screenshots from your page. There can be a lot of confusion at the start, especially if you're piecing things together from random tutorials. Grasshopper seems hard. Where do I even start? If I don't have a plan to follow, it's going to be easy to make big mistakes, get off track, get frustrated, give up. And you can try to figure it out on your own with YouTube videos, but it's probably going to take you a long time. So you're already hitting on so much gold here in terms of marketing, um, emotional language, but also that first milestone, which should be getting unstuck and making that one real Grasshopper output. I'm not an expert in Grasshopper, but from your sales page, I think that you could rework your first step in your journey, or the first thing that you're offering to these folks in their journey as your first finished Grasshopper script in one day. Let me go back. So this helps in a couple of different ways. Let's go through it. So first of all, let's start with the hook. You have a concrete promise now. Instead of saying, like, you're going to get productive so fast, now you're saying you're going to complete one working grasshopper definition. You're going to understand why it works, and you're going to walk away with a real file that you built. So it's not just theory, it's an actual product that they're putting into practice. It also fits your current phrasing. So again, on your sales page, you have a lot of like, where do I start? Now you're answering that question for them. If they're coming to you and saying, where do I start? You could say, hey, do this one action. Don't even worry about the full course over here. Just do this one milestone moment and, the rest will follow. So the solution and offering that, it's going to be much easier for you to say, okay, and then my next step, my actual full premium product makes sense now for pricing. You're giving them momentum in this first, small milestone. So that way when they come to the end of it, they have this finished project or file that they've completed. Now they're going to be much more likely to say, "Oh, great. This is awesome. He's a great instructor. I've met my milestone. I'm feeling the momentum. Hell yeah, I'm going to pay for this premium product. Let's go for it." So in short, right now, if your buyers are saying this is too expensive, add this first step before all of that. It's going to cost less. It's going to give one specific result for your buyers. Um, Now I can pay for a specific milestone. Cool. If this helps, I'll invest in the full product. And that is a huge shift psychologically. So you've just changed the question from being, do I trust this complex offer that this person is trying to sell me, to, can I just get this one thing done today? Huge change psychologically. So let's summarize. So, Thomas, your diagnosis, I think the main offer feels off because it's targeting a professional outcome way too early for true beginners. And that is naturally going to make people object to premium pricing or higher ticket pricing. So instead, I need you Please, to create a focused, beginner-friendly entry offer based on a concrete first win, and then um, position the main course rather as the next step, the natural next step for people to, you know, get into the momentum before they get into it. So, Thomas, I hope this helps. I'm not sure if you're here with us right now live, but if you're watching this as the replay, I hope this offers some clarity for you. And again, folks, if you have questions as I'm going through, please feel free to drop them into the Q&A. I have one more person that submitted something that I think I have time for, and then I do want to get into that Q&A. So go ahead and start dropping your questions in. And in the meantime, we will move on to our next hot seat, which is Lane Johnson Studio. I think Sandra, I think it was Sandra was the one who submitted this. Sandra, are you here? In the chat, let me know. I see a Sandra Johnson. I'm assuming that's you. Let me know if this is your product. Yes. Okay, cool. Welcome, Sandra. I'm really excited to get into this one. This was an interesting one. I feel like this is another one that could have gone a couple of different ways. Um, First, let's talk about what your offer actually is. So, Sandra has a product. It is an ebook that I think you were using as a lead magnet, and you want to evolve it into a mini course. Your topic is classical approach to painting realistic landscapes. Your audience is beginners, hobby creatives, folks who are just landscape focused. And your promise is to move beyond casual painting techniques. I think you specifically said to move beyond the Bob Ross style of painting. I thought that was so funny and fun. And your status, it is a half-built product right now. And the problem is that you have some pricing uncertainty and you're unsure of your product suite fit. So again, this is a really fun one. In the chat, let me know which misalignment you think this falls into. Is this outcome? Is this scope? Or is this the moment? Let me know. Sandra, I'm curious to hear from you as well. What misalignment do you think this falls into now that we've kind of gone over it? Give folks a few minutes or moments. So again, outcome, scope, or moment. Seeing the first one, outcome, outcome, outcome. Sandra, I'm not really sure that's my problem. Fair enough. Outcome. Okay, okay. So everybody seems to be on outcome on this one. Interesting. So I actually think, oh, and I'm sorry, your goal is to feed into premium offers with this mini course. Sorry, I didn't mean to skip that. But I actually think, drum roll, Mashka says it's not outcome, is it? No, I don't think so. I think this is an early stage scope issue. Outcome is a good, Pam said scope. Pam, you win applause from me. Yeah, no, I outcome is a good guess, but I think I went with scope instead for a couple of reasons. So let's get into it. So right now, if you were to turn this into a mini course, your product would be trying to do a couple of different things. So it would be trying to teach beginners, inspire confidence, deliver value worthy of payment, and then also preparing your buyers to buy more of a premium product afterwards. That is four huge jobs for one product. So that's why I went with scope. I think you could break down the issue into scope in general, and then it should make everything else fall into place. So what do I think actually feels off here? Let's get into it. So your hook, it is hard to finish the sentence. And I recognize that you haven't actually made the ebook into the course yet, but if I were to think about this as a mini course, I want to easily be able to answer this question. After this mini course, you will have X. Right now, I think if you were to turn the ebook into a mini course, you would probably need to still have the ebook to accompany the course to make sure they're like on the right track and following along. That's just a lot of content. So we want the hook to be much easier to answer. And then scope. So when you're turning something like an ebook into a mini course, naturally there's probably going to be more explanation that gets added, sections of the book where you need to expand more. show off more, make more content for. So then at that point, beginner friendly starts to really mean, oh no, I need to cover everything from this book. And then we're going down a million different pathways. And then friction. So the pricing feels hard when the product is trying to solve more than one problem. So when your scope is bloated, you don't know what outcome you're pricing. You're likely going to oscillate between, oh, this is just an intro course, I can price it fairly cheap. And then, oh, wait, no, there's so much good stuff in here. This is actually really valuable. I need to bump up the price. And then you end up with a price that feels arbitrary instead of anchored in what your audience actually needs and what you're promising as the milestone. So, what are we going to do to fix it? Well, first off, what I do not want you to do, Sandra, is add more lessons. I don't want you to make it more comprehensive, turn it into a full-on beginner curriculum, or guess at the pricing based off of the length of that curriculum. These are all no-nos. What I do want you to do, just one simple thing, pretty easy. I want you to collapse that would-be mini course into just one clear job, one tangible milestone, one easy win. So I also took a look at your product suite, and you have some fairly comprehensive products in there. So they're all fairly deep, they're comprehensive. There are, medium to higher ticket-ish, priced around like 199 to 499. So they all, you know, require some level of commitment to learning, of course, but also, a little bit of a chunk of change. So naturally, I need you to follow a three-step action plan in breaking this down so you don't kind of fly off the wheel and go crazy. Your first step, I think you need to reframe this as one specific painting outcome. So instead of taking the entire ebook and making a mini course, I don't think it would be very mini at that point, just take one outcome that you can pull from that ebook and use that. One specific painting outcome. And then number two, you're going to price it as a confidence building entry offer. So if your other courses are all priced at like 199 to the 499 range, make this a no-brainer. This should be like maybe 50 bucks to highest $100. Easy no-brainer course. You don't have to put too much thought into it. It shouldn't go crazy in depth. It should really just be a simple course so they could see if this is really for them. And then number three, I want you to position it before the entire existing suite. And I actually broke down a new funnel map for you. So we're going to get into it. But first, let's talk about the fix. So my rework, what I think would make sense here is maybe something like a paint your first finished piece, even if you're a total beginner. Now, Sandra, I recognize that I am not a landscape painter, so that might be a little bit crazy. So you might want to dial that back a bit. Maybe it's like I'm going with the Bob Ross kind of theme here. Maybe it's you paint your first happy little tree, but better. Something like that. Something easy, something that they could do in maybe one sitting, just an easy thing for them to grab onto. So the hook, now it has a concrete promise. This is going to avoid the ambiguity of, oh, now you're going to learn all of the basics from this ebook. And instead, it's going to focus on that one concrete win, one finished visible result. It is clear. They can definitely easily imagine it. And it's going to naturally lead to that next step of your deeper premium priced courses. So that one small win, now you can price it as a true entry offer, which of course would be lower than your other courses. This is going to remove buyer fear. It makes the actual price of the course feel proportional to the outcome. And then it encourages the upsell into those larger courses. It kind of makes everything a no-brainer after that. Okay. Let me go back. So let's talk about your funnel map. So this is how I would work this into your product suite. So you're going to start with a lead magnet. And I think maybe this could just be your existing ebook. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Keep using it as your lead magnet. But then that should lead them over to this mini course, that one small win. So you can say, okay, great. You went through the ebook. You might have learned about these three techniques. Now we're going to take one of those techniques and use it to paint our happy little tree or our first finished painting in one day. Easy, achievable milestone, one small win. Then you're going to upsell over to your core premium technique courses. You can also marry all of those courses together and maybe offer it to them as a premium bundle. Maybe they've done some amazing work in this mini course. They're super excited. They're feeling the momentum. They're ready to just dive all in and kind of go through all of your courses and your products. And then I don't know if you have this, I don't remember seeing it in your product suite, one-to-one coaching, or it doesn't even need to be one-to-one necessarily. You can do like a one-to-many live class right within Teachable. You can integrate with Zoom. You could do so much with some like live tutoring component. If you don't have that, I'm curious to understand why you don't have it. But this is the funnel, Sandra, that I would highly recommend you follow. So, in short, my diagnosis is that this would-be mini course is trying to do way too many jobs at once, which is going to make that outcome unclear. It's going to make the pricing feel arbitrary. So, this is definitely, in my eyes, an early stage scope issue. It's not a content problem. The content is great. We just need to narrow down on the one win. So with that, your fix would be to collapse that offer down into one clear entry level win, position it as a confidence building step before all of your existing courses. And I don't know, it just leads into the scope being much smaller and then the price and all of the next steps, the upsells over to the next courses just kind of become obvious after that. So Sandra, I know you're here. Let me know how you're feeling about that. We're considering adding one-to-one coaching this year. Yes, Sandra, you need it. I think, especially with a medium like painting, an online course, things like that, when it's a creative space, one-to-one coaching is gold. One-to-many live sessions are gold. There's something so electric and fun about having an online course that has a live component when you have a creative topic. Sandra, does this resonate with you though? Does this make sense? Do you agree that it would be a scope issue? So the ebook is about the first step and the quick win is finishing that step. Yep. Yep. Exactly. You're on the money. So I hope that was helpful, Sandra. Seeing Mariah in the chat as well. Even a membership could be fun, like 1 to 2 monthly paint with me type things. Yeah, that would be so cool. I think there's a lot that you can do with that. Pam says, I'm taking a drawing course and I love the daily 20-minute live sessions they offer. Sandra, these are gold. These are gold ideas for you. I hope you're taking notes. These are lovely. But Sandra, I do hope that was helpful. This leads me into our Q&A time as well. Let me know what your questions are. Maybe you have an idea that you want to submit live. You want me to work through live. Maybe you have a question about the product. Maybe you have a question about what you're doing right or wrong. I'm here for it all. We have a good chunk of time left, and I could run over 1 p.m. as well if we end up having quite a few questions. Deborah says, how do I hire one of you? Stay tuned. We are actively updating our Teachable Experts page, so soon you will be able to hire one of me. No worries. But I do see 2 questions in the chat or in the Q&A rather. Go ahead and let me know if you have more questions. My first one is from Laura. Laura says, I have a wheel and spoke offer suite, a main offer in 4 other courses that are related to the main offer, but not meant to be taken in sequence. How would you recommend getting people interested and enrolled in these 4 additional courses? What is the ideal customer pathway? Ooh, Laura, that is a really interesting conundrum. So I'm going to reread it. That's how I like to think through these sort of things, make sure I'm on the right track. So you have a wheel and spoke offer suite, your main offer, and then you have 4 other courses that are kind of in the same bucket, but they don't actually need to be taken in sequence. How would you recommend getting people interested and enrolled in these 4 additional courses? Okay, cool. So if the idea is that they're in the main offer and now you're trying to funnel them into the 4 other offers, I would challenge you to go back to your curriculum in the main offer and think through, okay, what are the milestone moments in here that kind of feed into my other offers? Um, for example, if my course, let's take my second step milestone course, all about creating content. Maybe I have a course that isn't necessarily about creating content, but creating a schedule for yourself that makes creating that content and posting it much easier. Kind of related, not so much, doesn't need to be taken in order. I'm going to go into that main course on creating the content, and I'm going to find a milestone moment within there where it would make sense for me to say, okay, hey, great, you've done this step. Now, if you're thinking about these things in the background, here's another course that might be helpful for you to take. Go ahead and check it out. And you can have an upsell directly within your school that does that work for you. So when you're in your school, you'll see add content. Um, Scroll down, you'll see marketing tools. You can click on upsell, and then you can choose any of the products that you want to upsell right within your lesson content. So, Laura, I think that's really what you would need to do there to create that ideal pathway. Go through your content, pick out the milestone moments, and try to kind of map it over to those four other product offers, and then go from there. And just add your upsells. You can even do it on the checkout page as an order bump, but that is the step that I would take. Laura, hope that helps. Let me know if that helps. Thank you. Very helpful. Cool. Glad I could help. Giorgio says, I would like to learn more about memberships and community. Any specific questions on membership and community? I am happy to help you with that. But in the interest of time, I'm going to go for more specific questions about offers and things like that. So, Giorgio, if you have a specific question about membership and community, let me know. We can hop back to that. So I'm going to park it for a moment and jump back to it. Um, Majka says, ooh, you gave me your link, which is client ready in 6 weeks. This is my customer sales page. I'm thinking we have the same issue as the first case, trying to solve for too much, and at the same time, the same issue as Sandra. Sandra, we need to add stuff to the sales funnel. Let me know if you agree. Okay, so Majka, I'm guessing I have your permission to take a look at this. Oop, no, I don't want to do that. Let's see if I can just copy the text. Give me 1 second. We're going to stop sharing for a second so that we can pull up the sales page together. That's not it. Might have to type it out. So Baraka dash, bear with me, guys. Zoom is not copy paste friendly. So my first piece of feedback for you, I would consider just changing the actual URL of your school here. So right now it's Barika Blankis S school.teachable.com. Quite long. You might want to condense that down a little bit. Client ready in 6 weeks. Okay, let's see if we can pull that up. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. Okay, great. So you should all be able to see the sales page now. We're going to go ahead and work through this together. Let me just make sure I have my chat and my Q&A open. Okay, let's make this bigger. So, client ready in 6 weeks, how to find your niche and build your practice with confidence. Okay, so I think right now, if we have to add the and in here, that's a problem. So I think for me, right off the bat, without even having gone further into this, scope is probably the issue here. I think you're trying to do too much. I think it would be helpful if you broke this down into one course that just says how to find your niche, meet people where they are there, and then you can break it down into the next step, which would be, okay, great, you found your niche. Now go ahead and build that practice with confidence. So I would break those down right off the bat. I think scope is the issue here. Let me know if y'all agree in the chat. So client ready in 6 weeks. Self-paced course for new therapists, coaches, and consultants. Through this online course, you'll learn how to find your niche, clarify your message, and build a practice. Yeah, I'm gonna stop myself there. I think it's scope. I think you're doing a lot here. Let's look at Oh, pricing, I guess you haven't launched the course yet. Do you have a price in mind for something like this? I'm gonna guess if it's 6 weeks that this is probably gonna be a fairly high ticket course, which then means that scope is gonna be even more of a painful bump for y'all. So right off the bat, recommend breaking this down into milestones. And you've already kind of broke it down here. Find your niche and build successful practices. I think you broke it down into three up here. So yeah, find your niche, clarify your message, and then build your practice. Three courses, three milestone moments right off the bat. Um, I would do that instead. And then maybe each of them is like 2 weeks long if you have like a live component to it. And that way you can kind of let people go or find their own point in the journey. So if they've already like clarified their niche or already found their niche, maybe they just want to jump up to the next step, which would be clarifying their message. Maybe they just want to dive into building a practice. Right off the bat, Majka, I think it is scope. I think you need to break it down into those milestone moments. I hope that helps. We need to add stuff to the sales funnel. Let me know if you agree. Yeah, I would agree. I think playing around with something like, finding your niche can kind of be like a small mini portion of the course in general. Probably doesn't need to include like a full 2 weeks or even like a week of your students' time. That might be your freebie. Um, Maybe not don't give away, the baby with the bathwater, but the niche bit, pull something from that, make that your freebie. Then, okay, like let's expand on your niche. That's your entry offer. Okay, great. You've expanded on your niche. We know what that is. Let's clarify your message. Okay, great. You've clarified your message. Now let's do the real work and start building our practice. I hope that helps. Lashka, let me know. We're gonna move on. Pam says, oops, asked Q in chat instead of here. No worries, Pam. We're human. It happens. How do I encourage folks to work through courses in more of an order rather than skipping the fundamentals? That would help them so much more in the long run in order to go to more. Oh, wait, I think I'm reading that wrong. That would help them so much more in the long run in order to go to more single skill specific courses. Cool, 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 cool. Great question. I'm going to pull up my Teachable School. So I have a hunch that maybe some of you guys aren't aware of all of the lovely features that Teachable comes with. So you want your students to work through your courses in order rather than skipping fundamentals. So that could mean two things. If they're already in a course and you want them to work through the fundamental content within that course, Teachable has a feature called course compliance. So if you if you click into your course, click on information, you'll see course settings. If you scroll down, you'll find course compliance, and from here you can enforce lesson order, enforce video watching, add graded quizzes, the whole nine. So if they're already in a course and you need them to go through everything in order, that foundational content, this would be the way to go. Now, if you're thinking about this more of a pathway that you want folks to go down in piecemeal courses, so not just I'm already in the course, I already need to go through the content, couple of things that you could do. So Teachable has the student experience tab. So you can go into site and student experience. And what this does is it allows you to set up a hero banner. So you can set up your banner here. I already have mine set up in site navigation. It highlights my community. But what a lot of people do is they will use the student experience dashboard to highlight different products and kind of create the pathway that you're talking about. I was worried that would scare them off as I was being too prescriptive. Don't. Students, I'll tell you one thing, they need quite a bit of hand-holding. So don't never make the assumption that your student is going to just naturally take that next step or know what the next thing to do or think that they could speed watch a video and walk away with all the knowledge that they needed. Be prescriptive, handhold them. Show them what they don't know and make them watch the content. Don't be afraid of it. Definitely do that. But if you're talking more so from like, a higher level on your student dashboard, you can highlight different products that you have. They don't necessarily need to be in Teachable, but this is really, really helpful. I'm confused on how to use the banners. This is interesting. Cool. So I've taken this as the opportunity to showcase my community. It's on Discord, so they can click on here. It'll take them over to Discord. They can introduce themselves. Maybe I have a pathway there that, that people can follow along. And folks, I'm realizing that it is 1 p.m. We're running a little bit over time, but I have more time. So if you have more questions, don't feel like, you need to race to get them in. Let me know. I'm not gonna to run away. But if you need to hop, please feel free to hop. I'm gonna send you the recording later on. There's still a little bit that I wanted to go through on if you're just stuck in the ideation phase, and get through that. But we'll get through this question. More info on banners. Okay, got it. Currently use my banner to promote my memberships. Yeah, Pam, that's a great use case. But again, going back to this, I would use the banner to showcase what you think would be maybe a natural first step and maybe a course that doesn't get as much traction, but you think is important in the fundamentals of things. Your headline might then be something like, let's edit my banner, might change up the thumbnail, but your headline might be, have you taken X, Y, and Z course yet? How did I find it? It is in site and navigation, Deborah. So if you head to site navigation, you'll see hero section here. You can edit your banner. So again, I might say, have you taken X course yet? This course is foundational to X, Y, and Z. Go ahead and enroll. Here's the URL. You can show it on the student dashboard. You can show it in the product catalog or on both pages. You'd save that. And now you have a couple of other options that you could roll with. If you head into site student experience, you have two options here. You can have featured links or you could have simple links. Typically, featured links might be something that you want to give extra highlight to besides the banner. So your banner should be like the main thing that you want people to enroll in. You could have featured links on the side that says like, hey, here's my community. Here's the next course that I think you should take. Have you taken this? Have you checked this resource out? You can highlight those different things. And then there's another short, simple list of links that you can include on your student's dashboard. So it might be maybe an external page. Again, pretty much anything you want, a podcast, anything that you have. But I think this, Pam, is what I would do to kind of create that pathway journey for your students. But this is also very great feedback for our team. And I'm happy to bring this back to the product team. Something that's a little bit more prescriptive as far as what courses you can take and what order you can take them in is going to be really helpful. Cool. Pam, I hope that helps. No problem. How do I see the catalog? So Deborah, when you are in, let's say, the site student experience, if you preview dashboard in the upper right-hand corner, you should go right into the catalog. I'm logged in, so it's going to show me my own dash. But if you want to see what anybody sees, you can go into Browse Products, and you'll get an idea of what your public-facing catalog looks like. Hope that helps. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I'm going to get back into our webinar content, and we're going to start wrapping things up, guys. Thank you for sticking with me. I know this has been a longer session, but I do hope you got some value out of it. And we're going to start to go a little bit slower now. So I did want to address some of the folks that might have or might be just stuck way earlier in the journey. Maybe you don't even have a product yet to have an issue with selling. Maybe you're stuck on the idea phase of things. If that sounds familiar to you, I would like to give you an irresistible offer idea bank. And this can be really helpful to kind of get out of your own head and just think through like what is something unique that you can offer that's low lift and makes sense for your audience at the point in their journey. So there are a couple of different things that you could do. I also think that people on Teachable get stuck in thinking that you can only create courses. Not true. There's so much more that you can do with it. But if you wanted to, you could create a course. You could also have challenge style products. You can have your memberships. You can use digital downloads to offer templates, workbooks. You could offer them access to a software, an app through digital downloads. And then beyond that, you can offer a lot of services and experiences. So yes, you have your one-to-one coaching, you have group coaching options. You can kind of twist that and have them be reframed as masterminds, as communities, a live community. You can do live events. There's just so much that you can do. So if you're stuck in that ideation phase, take a screenshot of this page. This is such a good one. These are a bunch of no-brainer ideas that you can kind of take, test, and run with. Once you have your ideas, please leverage these tools. These are going to be so important, especially if you have these higher ticket offers. And oftentimes people do have higher ticket offers and they don't have these features enabled, and it drives me crazy because they're so helpful. So there's back office. We've seen it give you an average sales lift of about 25%, which is huge. That's insane. What it does is it allows you to add PayPal or buy now, pay later options. So again, if you have something that is higher ticket, you should absolutely have at least one of these two, PayPal or buy now, pay later, enabled to boost your sales. It's going to make such a huge difference. You can add order bumps. Those are going to increase the average order value with complimentary offers that show up on the checkout page. Oh, cool, you're buying this product? Have you seen this one? It's over here. You can throw it into your cart for 10 bucks more. Cart abandonment. If you do not have this enabled, I don't know what you're doing. So what this does is it allows you to have an automated email that sorry, automatically goes out to your students if they go into checkout and then abandon it. Typically, people will offer like a 5% discount, maybe a 10% discount, something like that. But if you don't have it, it's so low lift for you. You literally just have to click on enable within your Teachable dashboard, and that's it. Um, it's amazing. Buy now, pay later kind of jumps back into back office and PayPal. Again, you don't need to have them both enabled, but you can have one or the other, and they both do such great work as far as increasing that average order value. And then we have affiliate sales. So if you are stuck in the phase where like maybe your audience just isn't growing, utilize the audience that you have. Have them become affiliates through your school. Have them, take the course. If they loved it, great. Become an affiliate. Tell your friends about it. Give them your affiliate code. Have a discount, the whole nine. It's another great way for you to just boost that revenue a little bit more. Okay. I'd love to have a session on affiliate sales. Have never been able to make this work. Great feedback. We'll get to that point as well. But some pro tips for crafting an offer if this is where you're stuck in your phase. First off, just create a low lift entry offer that solves for, again, one problem. We don't want to have the scope issue. No, no, no. We're going to focus on one problem. Mariah says, can you do like a weekly webinar, please? I'd be there. We do actually. We have weekly AMA sessions every Friday. They're hosted by myself. They're at 1 p.m. There's no set topic. It's just a live session for you to come and answer any of your questions that you might have. But we do have one. Maybe might have one that's more structured like this one in the future. Link, I will share it with you in my follow-up email. Glad to see that there's interest in this. But yeah, in my follow-up email, you'll have the recording of today's session. I'll also send you access to the AMA registration as well. But anyways, back to your crafting your offer. Start off with that low lift offer, solves for one problem. Boom. Then you're going to add digital downloads as bonuses to that offer. And this is probably something you already have. So if you've been giving something away for free, or if you've just like created a bunch of templates and things like that, and you just left them in your Google Docs or your notepad, go ahead and take those, turn them into a digital download, and then slap them onto your entry offer. You can say, hey, great, you're going to buy this course. And with it, you're also getting all of these free templates as a bonus just for buying in. It's so easy. And I guarantee you already have content you could use for that. You could also offer a VIP or an early bird discount. So you could say, okay, sick, I have this entry offer. The first 25 people are going to get 25% off. Does two things. Makes people happy. They love coupons, but it also increases the urgency. Now they're going to go into the checkout page, see that there's only like 10 coupon seats left and be like, oh, shoot, I need to buy this now. I'm not going to wait until the coupons are gone. And if you don't want a discount, add a high value bonus instead. Group coaching. It doesn't need to be recurring. You can have it be a one-time session. And kind of same thinking here. Say, great, you are the first group of people to buy this course. Thank you so much. I'm going to be offering a one-time group coaching session for the first 25 people who join. You'll have a chance to ask me anything, or it could be about a topic. Whatever the case is, it is a huge value add. And then you can structure your upsells to boost your average order value if you have a product suite. If you don't have a product suite yet, don't worry about it. You could always have something like a placeholder, a wait list, so people can be like ready and waiting for your next product offer. But don't stress it if you don't have a next product. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I just kind of want to summarize everything today. I know it was a lot, but if you walk away with one thing from today's session, I need you to know that you do not need to start over if your offer feels off. Please don't. Please don't throw away your idea. If your offer feels off, now you have a good idea of why. Go ahead and sit down and name the misalignment. Is it any of the three? Is it scope? Is it the outcome? Is it the moment? If you can map that to your offer, chances are you can make one small adjustment and just move on from there. That means you don't have to guess anymore. Now you have the framework. Go ahead and start applying it to your offers. And here's the part where you can help me as well. There's a QR code up here on the screen. Um, I simply ask that you share your feedback with me. If you're not able to scan the QR code, I just dropped the link to our feedback form into the chat. Let me know if you liked this session. Maybe you hated it. Maybe there's something I could have done better. Maybe it was great. I don't know. Let me know in that feedback form. It's so helpful. And it just basically helps me to create more content like this for y'all. I'm going to be doing workshops and webinars like this throughout the year just for you guys. They're always going to be completely free. But I don't know what's most helpful. And just like fixing an offer, I don't want to just guess at it. So let me know what you want to see more of, if you like this, what topics you're most interested in, what formats you're most interested in. It takes 2 minutes and it's so, so helpful. Deborah says, in your email, can you describe what the 3 points mean, scope, etc., and define? Yeah, I will definitely do that. So to close out, everybody, thank you again. Later on today, you will receive an email from me with access to the recording of today's session. I will give you access to register for our weekly AMA sessions every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to include some resources on all of the features and things that we talked about today. And I'll give you some executive slides on the 3 misalignments and how you can use them to fix your offers. And with that, thank you guys so much. It has been a jam-packed hour and 15 minutes, which is incredible. Thank you for your submissions. Thank you for participating in the chat. And I hope to see you all in another workshop or webinar soon. Take care and have a great weekend.